All right, good afternoon, realtors. Very happy to be in front of you. Today's September 17th already, and now we're at the final quarter of the year. So I hope we're in the right mindset and hopefully sticking to our business planning goals and hopefully putting together some production. From now to the end of the year, we still got several more months before things really just start to quiet down into the holiday season. I can tell you with the interest rates slightly becoming more favorable and improving and coming down to sub 6%, that definitely should spark some more buyers and more people interested or who are on the fence, on the borderline of purchasing anything. So to me, it's still a great opportunity and time to talk and go to the buyers that used to be kind of just disappointed of not getting their offer accepted, or there was too much competition and counter offers. Maybe the sellers were too strong on their counter offers for best and final, and the buyers were just kind of scared off. It's a good time now in this marketplace to re-entertain and explore buying a property. As well as for sellers out there, still a good time to sell because there's not a lot of inventory in many different areas. I do see that there is a lot of opportunity still to be had on the list side as well. A lot of vacant properties. There's a lot of owners who kind of fed up being here in California because the cost of living is so high. There's a variety of reasons where now the sellers can probably get better outcome, better results when the rates improve and become more affordable to the buyers. That also translates where the sellers can get a better offer price from these same buyers because now they can afford to offer more with the lowered rates. So that's really, really cool to have that discussion and entertain the sellers and buyers in your circle to discuss the options, the timing, the economy, as well as the presidential election and all the upcoming legislative bills that we should be looking forward to as we vote. What I want to do today is kind of cover some business that I'm personally doing, and I think it'd be a great opportunity and exercise to share with you that I do have a brand new listing. And what better opportunity or way to really teach you guys than to go ahead and show you and demonstrate exactly my thought processes and how I'm avoiding an MLS violation. And I want to show you how to input a listing into the MLS, what's mandatory, how do I fill out the answers. And I think it's a good demonstration when I do it in front of you. Does that sound fair? Welcome, Sharon. I see you on the call. Do you have any questions or anything you want me to cover in today's training? If not, I'll proceed forward. So I have a new listing right here in 8721. I'm sorry, let me make sure the address is right. 3721. It's a single family right here near Target, near Rosemead Boulevard. So if I go to the street view and I can show it to all of you, hopefully you guys see my screen. Do you guys see the street view?
Yes.
All right, thanks, Lon. Appreciate it. So we have a nice property here, single family, located in a quiet cul-de-sac street, dead end right here. And it's a single family residential R1 neighborhood, and mostly in original condition, but nicely maintained interior, and it has a nice 10,000 plus lot size. So that's one of the best features I want to advertise and market to all the buyers out there, is that not only do you get a nice big home, but you also have a huge lot that has great potential. Those are the factors that I want to broadcast and highlight to the buyers as I proceed forward with listing this property. So I wanted to take a second and show you and demonstrate how to list this property. But before I get into this, I already did the exercise of pricing this property with the owner. I want to know and reflect two different things that are important to keep in mind. So I can always open up what's called the realtor.com, the Zillow, Estimate, the Redfin, and everything like that. And I can tell you they're all going to give varying degrees of analysis and estimates. What I wanted to show you is how different and how the estimates can contrast and compare as opposed to based on which website you're looking at. So there's a valuation model here in which this is realtor.com, and they're estimating this property to be somewhere around 1.053. I'm sorry, the very last mark is 1.034. CoreLogic says 902. Analytics says it could reach up to 1.317 is this dotted line. And so to me, pricing it around the median or the middle quantarium does make sense for some reason. So they are believing it to be at this estimate here. However, it is very dependent upon what data they're using. So this particular property is pricing it as a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and they also calculate it to be roughly 1,295 square feet. Cool. But when you go into what's called Zillow, for example, this website also says it's 1,295 square feet, and they estimate 933. Big difference between Realtor.com's opinion. And then when I go back to that same property, I want to now go into what's called Redfin. And Redfin, 1.18, and it shows 3-bedroom. But if you notice something very particular, you can see that this previously is using a 2,050 square foot model. That is why their estimate is way higher than Realtor.com and Zillow. They're using 1,295 square feet in the other Z estimates. So that is where it is important to you as a purchaser and a buyer's representative or a listing agent to understand what is going on. Now, I already did my own analysis, and I'm here to tell you that the property has county data reflecting 1,295 square feet. However, the city does have recognized, and I do have some paperwork from the last MLS sale. When I type in 3721 Dubonnet, I could see the last sale occurred in 2002, I believe. And this is from another listing agent, January of 2002, in which he, at the time of sale, advertised estimated 2,050 square feet with a 10,219 lot. So what do I do from a listing agent perspective? I try to put as much data, information, and facts that I can share to the buyer. And so what we're going to do, and my discussion and recommendation with the owner, is to let's go ahead and proceed forward to market this property based upon the facts that we have to our knowledge. And from the knowledge of the past, the homeowner says and claims that when they purchased it, that they obtained permission and permits from the city at closing, in which there's roughly a main house of 1,550 square feet, 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath. And there's also a remodeled 500 square foot rear guest house, which does have a bathroom. Okay. So in this example, I do know from the history of the documentation that the owners saved from the prior sale, they received some permits for the 500 square feet. However, it required taking down some square footage from 2050 in which the prior owner back before 2002 needed to take out some squartage from an enclosed patio. So that is the story I'm going to share today, is what do I do and my thought processes. So because Zillow has it at 1295, the county has it at 1295 square feet, I still do want the public to know that there's really more square footage. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, and my client happened to do an appraisal at the property. So by doing so, I do have an appraisal report from the client, and that person measured the property. And based on this appraiser's measurements, which I'm not going to go into much detail, but they do have roughly what's called 1295 square feet on the living area and 500 square feet on the guest house. Okay. So it's something that I'm going to have to kind of explain to all the buyers, because all of them are going to say, "Oh, how come there's not on the county records?" And I say, "Well, buyers, you got to do your due diligence. It was explained to us at the time of purchase that the seller got permits, and we believe the structure to be grandfathered in with, and the city does have some permit history that was supplied to us, and so I do have it in my records. Let's take a look at what the owner gave me." So I have in here Dynasty Scan. A bunch of different scans that I have, and I believe it's going to be somewhere in here. Right here. So I'm not sure if some of you guys can see it, but back in 2002, the city of Rosemead did come out to the property. They do have an inspection record. They do have a permit number describing that there is based on April, and he visited in April 10th. They did a sign off on the frame inspection. They signed off on the weather stripping. What's this called? It's hard to read. There's a building map approval inspection. There is a final electrical approval. Rough wiring is approved, as well as something up here. I can't read it. Then I have some advertisements from the old MLS. They did a walkthrough, and from this sale, guest house missing the wall heater was one of the notes that was described, and they renegotiate some stuff going on back then. So this was something that was finalized and permitted. Good thing the owners kept the records, because then I can kind of show this to the new buyers if they wanted. Well, they could also pull the permits too as well. So that's where we're at. Now I have the details of what I am advertising. Now it's time to go ahead, and the reason why I'm not showing you the realist tax is because there's sensitive information and this could remove this from YouTube. So I'm refraining from showing you the realist tax. You guys can pull it up on your own computers if you wanted to. So I'm going to add a new listing. And for me, I have under my company an office code that I'd like to use. And I'm going to go ahead and put add new residential, pick Los Angeles County. I like to put in the APN number, which you can pull from the realist tax or any website where each parcel has their own unique identification code, which is the APN number. And I go ahead and search this property from Los Angeles County. This property is within the Rosemead area city, and I'm going to fill in the information from the county data. Right now, I'm going to put it as coming soon status, and go to each tab by tab by tab. I'd like you to kind of follow along with me. This is going to be exactly like if you have a listing, you do want to go ahead and follow my steps here that we're going to go ahead and put in the price. 1,028,000. The seller is willing to consider concessions to a buyer if requested with the offer on a case-by-case basis. So if the buyer requests for some concessions, sure, we'll consider it and let the buyer choose whether they want to use it towards themselves, their down payment, or towards their own buyer's representative. Whatever the buyer wants to choose, that's up to them. This is in the Rosemead MLS area. And I'm going to go ahead and fill out most of the orange mandatory fields. Okay. Now, I am also going to let you know, and normally I'm going to write instructions in here. So I would just write from Rosemead Boulevard, head. Let me go to the map again. From Rosemead Boulevard, head west on Valley Boulevard, south on Muscatel. Turn right. Turn right, or I'm going to go ahead and say west. Turn west onto the small street called D. Adelina Street. So that's just a little help. Sometimes I like to write park on the street or park in the structure. I'm just going to write street parking is available. Now, land lease. This is not a land lease. This is a standard single family house. So I'm going to pick house. All right. It's very simple. Common interests, none. Subtype. This is a single family with a guest house, but I'm just going to go ahead and make this a single family. The source is year built, is by the assessor. Standard sale. It's not like any special situation, but there is a trust involved. So I'm going to go ahead and write trust to disclose it. And the actual property has 2 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. So that I'm going to mark a half bath. And the square footage. This is where we as agents should be as truthful as we can, but we should also be representing our seller the best we can in their best interest. So this technically has 1295 plus 500 square feet studio guest house. So I'm going to go ahead and write it as 1795 square feet when you combine it together. And then I'm going to say per appraiser or estimated. And I will tell them to see the remarks. Okay. So number of units, I don't know if that rear guest house is considered a unit because it does not have separate meters. So if there is a detached garage of two spaces. Number of units, I'll just call it 1. And senior community, no. HOA, no. Lease is considered no. So all single story, ground level. And I believe entry level, we might have to just put ground level or the number 1. Okay. So that's it for this page. Okay. 2 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and we're ready to go proceed forward. If you have any questions, let me know. Anyone have any questions? Moving to the next tab, welcome home. I could normally write a big public remarks. I don't have it written yet. So I'm just going to start with this and not do this in front of you. I usually come back to this at the end and finish it off. So I'm just going to write lovely single family residence with rear guest. So imagine you're just writing a very long, better description, then you just copy and paste it here. So I'm just going to give a general disclaimer right there. And that's it for this page. I don't have to fill out anything out below yet. I'm just going to keep it with this very simple features wise. Okay. This is also where I would go ahead, and I know it has central air. It also has central heat. It does have some built-in features, and I don't have photos to share with you right now, but if I did, I would happily show you. I'm going to take some pictures soon. So I do want to, there is a laundry area and all this stuff outside. So I'm gonna pretend like I'm gonna fill this all out, and but I'm not doing it now in front of you. I need to look at all the pictures when I visit it, and then I'm gonna start filling it out. Everything in orange or yellow needs to be filled completed. So I like to do, yeah, it does have washer and dryer hookups. It is inside a closet or in the room. So I'm gonna go ahead and write it like that. Okay. And pretend as if I'm going through all of this stuff and finished. We would just let you know that you have to be detailed. That's why it's always good to take photos and reference of the property, which I do have, right? I just don't have good photos. So I just want to give you an idea of,
Kelvin,
yes,
Kelvin, I have a question regarding the entrance level and what's
yes,
supposed we need to enter.
level 1 or ground level.
Yeah.
So I put ground here and entry level 1. If you ever
Uh-huh.
want to understand what you're supposed to fill out, you can validate your listing.
Uh-huh.
And obviously the system took it. They're not
To
asking me
ground.
it's not asking me to do anything for
Mhm.
these two tabs.
Uh-huh.
It's asking me to fill out the rest. So this is
Oh,
what I put. My
yeah,
entry level
entrance
is the
level.
first level, and the location is the ground. Sometimes
Okay.
it depends on your property. Sometimes you do have an entrance on the second story. Because my friend has a story where a house where all his bedrooms are on the downstairs and the entrance is on the top level because his downstairs has a view and he's on the hillside.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on your situation of the property.
So if the bedroom downstairs, so still is put level one.
Yeah, because this is ground level right here.
Uh-huh.
This is
Okay.
whenever you see a house like this, most often you're gonna have it's gonna be level 1 that you're
Okay.
walking through, and that's your
Uh-huh.
entry.
Okay.
Very rarely will you see on the hillsides where you see your entry level 3 or level, sub. There are properties, for example, in San Francisco, where maybe you're not buying the apartment condo out here. You sometimes have to go below grade of
Mm-hmm.
the flooring to be your entry level. Very rarely, but
Mm-hmm.
that means you have the basement level condo.
I see.
So there are instances where you're below grade. See,
Okay.
below grade finished area. So
Below.
in any case, most often you're always going to have it entry level is going to be 1 in like
Okay. Got
90% of
it.
the time.
Sure. Thank you.
Now, features wise, just imagine I finished it off and the land. So I do have and know most properties do have special assessments. And because I used APN number, I was able to pre-populate the tax lot and the tax tract number. And the next thing is there an HOA? No HOA. This is a single family home. So I'm pretty much done with this page. I don't have to do anything except for maybe put together the schools. So this does belong into Rosemead District. So I just go down to Rosemead and let them is vacant, so I can have possession delivered at close of escrow. Current financing, this is no financing. Listing terms. I believe this owner is gonna willing to consider cash to new loans, conventional contract. Fannie Mae law firms, sure, we could do FHA. The property is in good shape. We can do any Freddie Mac loan. We can do probably a VA loan. We can also do submit your type of listing terms, and we can do VA because it's in good condition. All right, so now I have submitted my listing terms. I have delivering it vacant, close of escrow. We are ready to go to the next page. Dual variable compensation. Everyone asked me, what does this mean? This means that the listing agent's compensation, which is only between you and the seller, has a variable, what's called rate of what you're going to earn, which is conditional. In my situation and most situations, it is not conditional. It is a straight, for example, I would say no. My commission rate would be X percent of the purchase price. And so that's unconditional. In certain situations, I've seen agents say, well, if I hit the listing price or greater, my commission to be X percent or greater. And if my final sales price that I work on is below the asking price, then perhaps I'm willing to consider a concession and my rate to be decreased to certain percentage. If you have a condition to your listing price, listing compensation, then you would put a yes. But if you straight have a straight dollar amount, like a flat fee, or if you have a straight percentage, then that is a no answer. My listing contract is dated yesterday. It expires February 28th. 2025. Full service, exclusive right to sell, and my start showing date might, I have the gardener coming on the 18th. So my start showing date might be 18th or 19th. I might try to do it for tomorrow, but I'm gonna actually keep it as 19th for now. Sign on property, not right now. And contingency, I could say property to be sold as is condition. I can write other conditions like sellers prefers cash offers, or seller reserves the right to find a replacement property, or seller wants at least a 30-day lease back. Whatever contingencies that you want to build for your seller, you can add it here to give the agents some instructions or ideas what you have in mind for the offers that you like to see. Occupant type is now vacant. Showing contact will be having a super key. So showing contact type, see remarks.
Kelvin, for
Yes.
the limited service and the full service. So limited service is like everything have go through the seller, or full service, and then we can screen the offer.
Okay. Well, if you look at listing service types, there's only three options. Entry only is what a some company, there's a company out there called Listed Simply. And all they do is take a flat fee and they'll list the property into the MLS, but they do not give any fiduciary agency responsibility or relationship to the seller. They simply take a fee, put it on the MLS, and they write in here that this is a limited service entry, data entry only. And please contact seller, or here's their contact information of their whoever contact for showings and to write offers. I am not, then they will have to write a disclaimer. We are not representing the seller. Limited service means that you do not give full service. anything in between entry only and full service. So if you're a limited service agent, it could be you have what's called a reduced scope of duties. So a full service agent does everything. They price the property, they give a valuation, they meet with the appraisers, they help coordinate and schedule showings, they do open houses, and a listing agent may also cooperate with other brokers. They will facilitate paperwork and provide documentation and statutory disclosures to the seller. There's a lot of different services. Now, if there's an agent that says, I do not want to do any open houses, I do not want to do any paperwork or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is, then that agent should be limiting their service and have a limited service listing agreement with the seller.
I see.
Sometimes the sellers hold the open houses themselves.
Yep.
And so let's say the property is all the way in San Diego and I'm listing
Mm-hmm.
it for them, but I'm not full service. My client agrees and we have a discussion. My client does all the showings and does all the meetings with the appraiser and all the home inspection meetings and various service professionals like roofer, electrician, foundation expert, sewer scope. The seller, if the seller agrees to that, then the seller is now I'm providing limited services to this seller.
I see. Got
That
you.
is the
Thank
answer
you.
to that question. Any other questions at this point? So because this is near and dear to my office, 10 minutes, I'm full service. I can handle everything and I'm going to charge a full commission. So Supra box location is look driveway gate CBS code. I'm going to actually write it here. Please go. I don't want people walking on my property at nighttime. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, because it gets late, I want to make sure all showings are before 6:30 p.m. I don't want them, I don't it's a trip hazard or later. I don't want them to be scaring neighbors. So I want them only to go during daytime. And sometimes I need to be very specific because agents don't read. Please, and then this is where I give my instructions to the agents to please text or email. Please text with your business card
沖兩個鐘頭，沖兩個鐘嘛。
and or DRE license number for showing requests. Okay. So I go ahead and write my showing instructions and use my Supra, and I have my order of how I'd like to be contacted. And this is where I get to write co-listing information. Property is co-listed with Grace Ho. I'm going to write her phone number and I'm going to write any other private instructions like please submit all offers to Kelvin Chang at gmail.com and or call, text Kelvin with any questions. So I put it in my contact information, my instructions for all interested parties. Please provide your RPA, proof of funds, and pre-approval letter. And I'm also going to write any other special things. Please note, in 2002 with same floor plan and existing square footage. It was it was it was delivered and marketed to buyer that they had that they had 2050 square feet.
Excuse me.
Yeah, county data reflects 1295 square feet. Guest house at rear is was, was existing and deemed to be a grandfathered city seller possesses permit that was transferred to delivered back in 2002 and may be supplied by request. So I write some stuff like that where if I have a serious buyer, they're going to ask me, hey, do you have that permit? Well, sure. I'll send it to you by request. And so I'm giving my instructions, helping out those who actually do the homework and actually read my instructions. They'll have maybe some better idea. And then I always write a disclaimer on all of my counter offers.
Hi.
So for my disclaimer, I like to write I already wrote out my instructions. So I'm going to just go ahead and copy this right here. And paste it. And I also like to I also like to take one language from there is, and feel free to use it in all of your future sales, is a disclaimer right here where I say property to be sold completely as is condition. Buyer strongly recommended to conduct own independent due diligence and investigations, including but not limited to zoning, usage, property condition, repairs and improvements necessary, square footage, lot size, boundary lines, easements, permits history, development potential, and any and all aspects, characteristics, or features that are important to the buyer's decision to purchase. Brokers and agents make no representation or implied warranty besides the data and statutory disclosures provided by seller and brokerage. So I'm going to go ahead and shorten this so that it could fit into my area. Um, so imagine that's where we're at. I go to the next step and imagine this is all finished and this is not 41 characters over. Don't forget, you can always give credit and find the cooperating broker by just filling it out. In my case, I'm gonna go ahead and put in, I believe, okay, anyway, I'll put in my co-agent's information later. So other than that, the next step after I show here and I filled out all the orange areas, green is the next tab. Green is if your property does have any solar or green verified, green sustainable energy efficient appliances or features installed at the property. So green things could be like your roof or your thermostat, or maybe you have solar, all this different stuff. Um, you could add it if you have it or a certificate of proof, but I don't have that. Most of my stuff is original, so I'm going to go ahead and mark it as no. The next thing is to go ahead and put together a walk score. Because I know this is near Target and a whole big shopping center. So let's go ahead and check out what a walk score is at here. It has a walk score of 80. So that's nice. That's a pretty good walkable area. So I'll go ahead and feature number 80 under my walk score. And I don't have any certificates or building verification, so I'm going to leave it all blank and go to power production. No, there's no solar on this property, so I don't need to fill in the type of amperage or how many solar systems or what type of lease it has. So this is for photovoltaic, that's normal solar, or wind power production. Most properties don't, but maybe 15% of them starting to do have solar. I do not have what's called a verified ADU, so I cannot say market this as an ADU. It's more like a studio or guest room. And so therefore, I do not have a separate meter. It does not have a separate address. So therefore, it's not technically an ADU, although the buyers very well can convert it into an approved ADU, permitted by going through all the steps and working with their own architect and doing some due diligence and getting the property conforming. So that's not my duty. I'm only selling what I have and telling the truth, the facts. I do plan to do open house this coming weekend. So let's just say I'm going to do Saturday, and I don't know the exact time, but maybe I do Saturday or Sunday. Maybe it's good to go after church time, so maybe like a 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., for example. And I go ahead and that's how I input an open house. If I had multiple open houses, then I go ahead and push more, and then I can insert Saturday or Monday or caravan day. There's different ways. So go ahead and go ahead and put in your information if you were having a listing, and you could validate the data. And notice the only areas that are asking me is the features, which I have not filled out, and I already told you. And the office area is needing to find out that this is too long. I need to shorten this up. And so other than that, there's not really much to fill out except for just my new description and the features after I have my photos. So now that I'm ready to go, I'm gonna save it as incomplete. This is now my new MLS number, so I can use, and I have a nice MLS number. I got 2 8s in there. All right. So that's lucky for me. Hopefully it'll be a lucky sale and hopefully go smooth. If you have any clients interested, it's coming soon, starting showing maybe Thursday, because I have the gardener doing some landscaping on Wednesday. And so it should be very ready to go. And it's a nice property with a 10,446 lot size. Good potential for an ADU plus maybe even a junior ADU if you want to go and have a bigger project. Obviously, buyers, do your own due diligence on the development potential. Most of the interior is original, and I got to put some photos in, so that's why I'm not submitting it right away. That's how you input a listing, guys. It's in a matter of today's class. Obviously, I could have done it faster, but I put it all together in roughly less than 30 minutes and got it ready to go. Okay. Any questions on putting a listing together? My only last a piece of advice is invite, if you're a listing agent, invite the buyer agents to call you or contact you because all of them are wondering the exact same thing. How do I show it? Do you have offers? How negotiable is the price? And the third thing is, are you supplying a buyer broker compensation? I cannot use my MLS to advertise a broker compensation. I can only advertise a concession to the buyer, which I did mark yes, that selling is willing to consider concessions and offer right here. And I could advertise if I wanted to, I'll show you what I could do. Because I just attended a MLS meeting, it is allowed for me as a listing agent in the public remarks, seller will consider buyer concessions up to 2% of the purchase price. So in this situation, this is something that you could publicly market and privately market as well, and whatever your choice. So as long as you are stipulating this is up a certain amount, that this is to be negotiated or obviously to be included with their offer, and that it's specifically towards the buyer's closing costs and no mentioning of any broker compensation. So if your seller is on board with supplying that and allowing you what's called in writing to market authorization to market a concession, then you have the ability to put it here. So that's why I advised you in my last class to get the buyer seller's authorization in writing that you can supply and offer a concession to buyers' closing costs. So in this situation, it's allowed. I've already verified it with MLS. As long as you don't have any mention inside the MLS towards buyer's broker compensation. No mention of broker compensation and you're good. Can you market this 2% and basically market it in other means? Like I put it on my Facebook and post it, open house this Sunday. Hey, 2% buyer's commission, brokerage commission. Yes, you can. Can I put it on the flyer? Yes, you can. Can I put it on TikTok or YouTube or advertisement that I purchase on Google Ads? Yes, you can. Can I put it in my email to another agent? Yes. Can I text it and communicate it or pick up the phone and invite other agents to call me? Yes, you can. Those are all allowable means to communicate how much commission you will offer or your seller will offer using form SPBB with their offer towards the buyer's broker compensation, and it shall be reviewed case by case per offer. So that's where you just can use every and any method except for the MLS to communicate 2% how much commission, if any, your seller is willing to supply to a buyer's brokerage. Any questions on that? It's not that confusing, right? So everyone thinks it's a big, big change, and all of it, to me, it's just a simple one extra phone call. Whenever you're a buyer's agent and you feel it's very frustrating, all you have to do is pick up and call the listing agent. They're all trained. I'm trained to go ahead and just speak forward. And if there is willingness, I can say yes. I do not, as a listing agent, have to specify an amount. I can even say, sure, we can advertise or we can give 2% of the purchase price. Absolutely. Or I can say it, yes, we will supply buyer broker compensation. However, it is dependent on your offer and terms and price. So please just submit and we will review it and present it accordingly. So it's up to the seller and the listing agent whether they decide to be direct and share an exact amount, or to keep it open-ended and say it's negotiable, or to even say, no, my seller will not pay anything towards buyer brokers. We are only going to pay 2% towards a buyer concession only. That's it. So that's how I am trained and training you. If you're a listing agent, that's how you should communicate depending on whatever you think is in the best interest of the seller. Any questions?
Kevin, this one just to buy's closing cost, not buy's agent, right?
Nope. Never ever say anything towards buyer's brokerage or buyer's agent. You have to say
Okay.
towards buyer's closing costs.
Okay, thank you.
Only if you're going to write it anywhere in the MLS, it's a $2,500 fine
Mm,
if you write buyer's broker right here.
okay, thank you.
I don't want to pay $2,500 fine.
Of course.
So I believe
Okay.
10,440 is what the lot size was. I got to look back at the parcel. This is per county data. It is 10,446. So I got to go back to my description and put 10,446. And so giving you guys the green light to go ahead and show it. You can sell it. There's a super right now. As soon as it's ready on Thursday, it's ready as active to show. I have it coming soon. Until then, should have open house sometime this weekend. And this is a good buy. It's 100,000 below the Redfin estimate. And it's a nice, big, quiet cul-de-sac street, good location, neighborhood, and all single story.
Kevin, the size 1795, the E as me
Estimated.
estimate.
Yep. Because I
Oh,
have
we
an
can put
estimated,
estimate. Okay.
I have estimated from an appraisal, 1295 plus 500 guessed.
And in your private market remarks that one, do we have to every time have to say like a seller's agent not guarantee everything, so buyer have to verify by themselves? So we have to mention this
Have
every
to?
time?
No. But I write it whenever I have a single family and I know there's modifications and the discrepancy in square footage. I want you to write it on any time situation when you have a discrepancy in data. Yes.
Oh, okay, if condo, if something very obvious, so don't have to every time say that.
Yeah, if it's just like a condominium, you don't need to.
Oh,
It's
okay.
very they didn't do any additions, I guarantee you, on a condo, except
Oh.
for a partition wall maybe, or
Mm.
they add a bathroom somewhere without permit. It's possible. So if you
Mm.
have that would have a discrepancy in bathroom count. So whenever you have a discrepancy in data, bedroom count, bathroom count, square footage, or lot size, then it's very strongly recommended to add a disclaimer that you can copy it from my listings. I always write it in all of my single family homes. I usually write it all the time. And I also write it in my counteroffer as where I pulled it up from. I have many counteroffers I've written. So I just got to copy and paste. It's very easy.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. So it's a nice property. Go ahead and check it out. And any other questions while we're here on the topic of how to list a property? I need to save it and I'm done. Okay, it's already saved. So I guess that's it for today's class, unless you have any questions. Got a lot of you on the call today. Thanks for joining me today. Any questions?
Yes, Kelvin.
Yeah.
Regarding the land, they have a question asked: Is the land is leased?
Very rarely will you ever find a leased land. Okay. So think about a mobile home park.
Yeah,
Then
mobile
that's
home
a
park.
land
Yes,
lease
I
is a
know.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
but for my
Manufactured house.
understanding, okay, for my understanding, some people talk couple years ago and say single family house also have a lease for 99 years.
That's
And
possible.
is
Yeah.
it possible?
Yeah.
But how can we find it out? Is it a land lease?
Oh, city buyer just goes to visit to the one, it has to be disclosed to you from the seller. Two, you can check it with the city. If it's usually a 99 ground lease, that is recorded.
On the title report, can we look it up information on the title report?
You might have to pull pull it on the title company. It might show it because a lot of times a 99-year ground lease will be recorded information. Yes.
But normally most people will say no on the land, right? So they say it's the ownership like A ownership 99 and then transfer to the B ownership will start the date of the B ownership 99 years.
A ground lease is non-transferable and non-renewable. So at the end of the 99-year ground lease, it does not matter how many times it's transferred hands. A ground lease is permanent until that 99th year. And finally, that next title owner gets to occupy, use, possess the property, develop it, whatever they want.
Wow. But in California, is it most of the single family house have this issue for the land is listed instead nobody mentioned, nobody finding out about this issue?
It is very, very rare you'll ever find a ground lease. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But I'll show you one ground lease.
Because every listing on the multiple input, they always ask, is it the land is leased? Always we put is no.
There's no, unless you have like a manufactured park,
Yeah,
or
of course.
maybe you are, a mobile home park, or in a rare instance, you have a ground lease, or you have a specific lease. If you go back to your principles class, there are situations where there could be, let's say, a title in which you purchase a property subject to a certain person having a life estate. So that would be another situation where you may want to disclose it and share that if I buy that life estate property, I cannot occupy or use it until a certain person passes away. Okay, so that's one example. But like I said,
normally
in California, that's very rare. You'll have maybe less than 1% of the sales having a ground lease or a life
yes, they've got a chance.